They are. Okay, let me turn the music down here. Oh, well, hello, everyone. Yes, we're partying between Trina and I. Just little Elton John in the background. And
Yeah, let me turn the radio off.
so we're now live, Miss Trina. So I just want to let you know that the red button says. So welcome, everyone. It's real, it's live, and it's authentic. That's all I got to tell you. Hello, Trina. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, Wayne. And how about you?
Oh, we're deep into thought. Yeah, it's doing great. It's a favor to everybody to we just speak that over everyone, and may there be nothing missing, nothing broken in your lives. And thank you all the moderators and Big Al, Kaz, and David Castle, and boy, David Barry. Hello, Miss Julianne Payne. Good to see you. And so, and welcome everyone else. Peace be with you, the peace that surpasses understanding. So, it's cold here, Trina. It's actually cold.
And it's so weird. It's May or it's June. It's beautiful here.
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's June.
It's like
9th.
Should be. And we got hot about a week ago, and it was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked in, and then it went away. It's like, oh, this is nice.
Well, we had snow just 20 miles to the south of us, so yeah, it's cold. But anyway, weather is a changing, and
yeah,
I'm not. I don't.
Plants doing okay?
I mean, I think they're really confused because
Yes.
Saturday we went through a hurricane, and in fact there is a weather phenomenon called a land cane that actually, where if you sustained winds of 73 miles an hour for an hour or longer, well, then you're in if you were near the ocean, it would be a hurricane.
Yeah.
One. Wow. We had the same. We had it here. We had up to 105 miles an hour up just to north of us. Yeah.
That's intense.
Hey, if you are wearing a wig or anything else, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
bye-bye.
Yes, I see ya. And I tell guys who are losing their hair, I said, just adapt to the saying. Just tell people what you call 100 rabbits dancing backwards, a receding hairline.
Receding hairline. I love it.
Yeah. Or you can tell people you have wavy hair and it's waving goodbye.
That's right. I like that one too. Yeah.
So anyway, how are you doing, Trina? What's up in your world?
Oh, just busy, and I've had some car issues, so dealing with that's always fun. It's an electrical issue, so they're having a heck of a time fixing it. It was fixed, and then it freaked out again. So, yeah, so I think it's a main computer component that has to be replaced. So again, waiting for parts.
Have you done a cleansing on your car?
No, not in a while, but I will. Yeah. But you know what though? It's probably just legitimate because it's getting up there in the miles and the years. So.
Oh well, yeah.
And it went through some pretty good monsoon storms, and my daughter didn't roll the window up all the way. So yeah.
Yeah, water.
Justification for the technical issue.
Yeah. That never turns out well.
No, it doesn't. No.
Always
teenagers.
I back when I used to do a lot of travel, and I mean a lot of travel, it was something because inevitably, like if you were in the United Club, so you get in and they have these, partitions where you can actually do your business. Inevitably, and if it's in the morning, someone always spilt their coffee on their keyboard.
Oh.
Inevitably. I mean, it got to the point because my wife, she'll tell you this. I'm the type of guy that I will get there 2 hours early, because I can do more business in the club than, I can do anywhere else. And so you're the first one in. And so as you watch people come in and it's a rush hour.
Yeah.
And I timed it. The longest it went, I think, was about 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I digress.
Stress of the travel and the rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frequency.
I sold my soul for some rock and roll, is the old saying. And I didn't know what the band was playing until I started paying. Once I started paying, I began to see the pain. Yeah. And I'm a poet and really didn't know it, but the point
Yeah.
is, it's I look back on that.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's interesting. And
oh,
it's about frequency too. And it was spinning everybody out. And you chose to walk a different path, one of earliness and
well, it
just
was
take your
spinning me
time.
out.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But see,
Yeah.
you never spilled your coffee on your keyboard, so you
No, no,
deflected
no.
all that energy. But that was like a manifestation of chaos, and it was present
Oh,
with stress. Yeah.
and anyone who's done business travel knows that
Mhm.
business travel, particularly if you're flying,
Mhm.
it's surrounded by moments of complete chaos. Everything is virtually out of your control, to moments of great meditation because you have to have, that's where I exercise my patience at.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're around. I did a video on this. Let me give you one of my observations, Miss Trina.
Mhm.
This is after, doing a million miles. This
Mhm.
is what I noticed about flying,
Mhm.
is that there is a miraculous miracle that takes place at a
Oh,
35,000 feet.
yep. Yep.
Yeah. Have
All the people who board before
first
everyone because
because of
they're
their
disabled. Yeah.
handicaps? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's amazing because they get healed and they're
Instantly.
out. They will literally climb over you to get out the door,
I
and
know. I have seen that too.
you
It is the most.
yes.
Oh, I have seen it because I used to have to do that because I had lots of kids with me. We would go to Disneyland and I had 6 little small babies and
Ay,
strollers and
ay, ay.
crazy train. So yeah, and I would watch the same thing because I'd see all these people boarding with us and we're struggling with strollers and kids and crap and diaper bags and it's a bad deal. So yeah, we're dealing with that. And you see these people walking on and they're all with their, and then man, you see them, like you said, jumping over the chairs to get out first. I'm like,
The seats, yeah.
wow, how'd you do that? Yeah, I used to see those miracle healings all the time.
I sat, I primarily flew United, so, I always had seat 1A, always reserved, and it's a perfect seat because it's the first seat in the plane, you have a bulkhead,
Yep.
and you're near the window,
Yep.
and so, yeah, and I'll tell you another story about little Johnny, who was 4 years old. It was the only time I saw an entire flight and all the people on it ready to do child sacrifice, because
Yeah.
little Johnny was a freaking demon, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And we could hear the craziness in from first class in the back, but that little demon got up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
he kicked, I'm telling you, literally kicked the stewardess. I don't know how she did not really just go ahead and sacrifice the kid right there, but anyway.
Wow. Was he in pain or he was
The
just doing
kid?
that?
The
Yeah.
kid, he had never been disciplined.
Oh, he was just one. Okay.
He was a child who apparently never heard the term no.
Yeah, I've seen kids like that.
Yeah, and wow.
Yeah.
It was I really felt sorry for the people back behind the curtain because I anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, here we go,
I've
folks.
actually had personal experience with dealing with those children that are completely out of control and bringing them back into control. And wow, is that not a fun process?
So how do you find the temperance, the perseverance, besides the patience that of what they would call Job, to endure? How many children did you have at the max?
I minimum had 5 almost 24/7. But
Five kids?
I was the favorite aunt and I had 2 girls and everybody wanted to come and my
Five
next door neighbor had
kids?
3 small children and they were best friends and I had kids. Oh, most of 'em, like the normal number at any gathering or any type of like if I had a swim party or anything, it was literally a minimum 13 kids.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm.
I had lots of kids around when I went, and I worked in a group home before I had children, and I was raising other people's children who were wards of the state. So I've always just been really good with kids. just kind of my thing.
Traveling, traveling on a plane, which is a very confined environment,
Mhm.
is, yeah.
My
The
sister did it
consciously
back
aware
in,
says, I have 5 kids myself. Well, I got to
yeah.
tell you, that is it's it's obviously an inherited gift because I
It's not. Wayne, I had to literally be trained. I mean, I had a lot of skills
okay.
for social work and all that, and I was really good. But my upbringing, there wasn't a lot of patience. There was a little bit of violence, shit like that. So it was like, you
Mhm.
knew to be good or you'd get your butt whooped, straight up. So, you see these kids and they're all completely messed up. They've had no structure. They're removed from their homes. They've had
Been there,
extreme
done that.
trauma. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I mean,
Yeah.
I learned a lot of skills with that, but when you're actually a parent yourself, man, there's no rule book. You
Mm,
are
mm,
like,
mm.
whoa. So whatever the divine universe brought me a friend, and her name was Amber, and her mom, she was the only child, and her mom like treated her like a doll, like a princess. And she was very faith-based, total Catholic, prayed every night, just was very like the Cleavers, like the perfect mom. So she had the patience of Job. She'd always use great words, wisdom. So all of these traits went into Amber. So I would watch her with her kids, and I was like, wow, because that's not the way I was raised. So I had to relearn my parenting practice and recreate a new parenting practice that was unique to myself. So that took a little bit of time. But as I came into that, like I said, I became the favorite because I was fair and I wouldn't put up with any crap. But I had very few rules, and they were safety rules because they made sense. So I started putting all this stuff into practice, and it just really created a lot of good times and a lot of healthy children who
That's
were
cool.
accountable for their behavior.
I never found June Cleaver amongst all the mothers I ever saw, but I had some good cottage parents, I have to say, who,
Yeah.
and I'm glad for them. I mean, Miss Hazel, here I
Mhm.
am
Yep.
getting ready to turn 65, and I can see uh, Miss Hazel to this very day. And I mean, but she was a very strict disciplinarian.
Yeah.
Um, not with
Well, my mom
religious
was too.
overtones.
She carried a belt in her purse, Wayne.
Well,
Yeah, she wasn't
yeah,
playing. You got bad
yeah,
in the store when you got out to that. Oh, you were in trouble.
yeah. Well, today they would arrest you for that.
Absolutely. But that was
Yeah,
normal when we were growing up. That was how it was done.
yeah. Well, listen, as a guy who, yeah, I look back on that, and yeah, it's interesting because I was meditating today, and I was telling you a number of
Mhm.
profound things that were hitting me. And, the question is balance.
Yeah.
Why is it that there are certain people who have wealth, excess wealth,
Mhm.
and virtually go through life really never suffering? Um, and even if they do, they have many resources because of their wealth that can make it much easier. Whereas the vast majority of the population, life is hard. It's
Mhm.
difficult. It's always faced with hardships, poverty, sickness, and there never seems to be enough.
Yeah.
And I was meditating on that, and I was speaking to, I don't know what to call it. One person could say source, another could say creator. I have come to understand the existence of a higher intelligence cannot be defined by a personification. So anyway, so
Nope.
how do you see that? Why is it that we see this dichotomy of lives here, and we see the vast majority where it is difficult? Why is there this exception?
Literally, I think it's part of creation, and it has to be present in certain levels of creation for development, evolution, and growth. Through through the dark, you can see the light. I mean, without one, you can't see the other. So this is a place where we're learning how to create. And if you don't understand the polarity of creation itself, how could you successfully be a successful creator if you don't understand the weighing of those scales
But why
and
would
how
there be one would be rich and one would be poor? Because
because
I
like
know some really dumbass, non-awake rich people, very wealthy, who are completely freaking clueless.
me too.
But you see the ones that struggle, that once they get past the understanding that, okay, this is the hand I've been dealt with, they can overcome that. But that it's still that question, why the imbalance? Is there a purpose behind that, or is that just, you know?
There is, and I think a lot of it might be dealing with karma.
So do they have good karma, the rich, or the poor have bad karma?
See, Wayne, I've been very closely associated with a lot of people with a lot of money my whole
Hmm.
life,
Yeah.
and they are not out of the suffering. They have it in different ways.
No, I understand that, but they have resources that allow them, though, to find remedy.
Not really, because these are different lessons that only they can work through themselves. And this is not something that somebody else can fix for them.
But they're not doing without a meal. They're not doing without a home. They're not
No, but
doing without a
many of
car.
them develop illnesses that cannot be cured. Many of them have the destruction of all the things that they love through people never being satisfied with you giving them enough. They lose
Or
in a lot of different ways.
no, I get that, but it's still the fact that it exists.
I just have to say it goes with polarity because this is a dualistic system, even in our mind. I mean, this is the realm of extreme duality.
Well, you see, and here's where I can break the duality and make a triad,
Me
because
too.
you have that as the stage. That's
Yes.
the character that you have been handed, you have been called, you enter in stage right.
Yes.
And as you're getting to your role,
Yes.
now there is a third bucket, because here's the other thing. I can observe because I can be handed the worst deck, right? The worst hand.
Hmm.
But if I learn, then I can become one that has these resources. But I think the difference is that you have a different perspective on it.
No, I totally, like I said, through your struggles, it created what you are today.
Yeah, yeah.
So if
Isn't
you
that true?
wouldn't,
Yeah,
yeah, so if you
yeah.
wouldn't have had those struggles, you would not be what you are today. So that's what I said. A lot of this is karma and it's part of our contract. We come in, we sign up for certain things, so it will do something for us in an alchemical process.
Yeah, and I'll
Mhm.
just tell you, I think that in fact, Proverb says a poor man sleeps at safety at night because he has nothing that wants to steal.
Yes.
And
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Because the
it,
rich,
well, it is.
they are so loaded with security. There's cameras everywhere. They're so paranoid. It's so
Yeah, yeah,
crazy. Like I said,
it
it's a
is.
totally different situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally different. And it's all their own mental cage. So they can't get out of it. And it's been bonded by the material life. Oh, it's amazing to watch this kind
So
of.
this then brings out what the theme for today when we're talking about creating our reality is that in every one of these cases that we've described, that many people here live, Spirit Girl says suffering is needed to promote growth. Such ironic truth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
it is.
yeah. Hello, Karen. How are you? From I trust the I guess what you're up in the Yukon? So good. Oh, yeah, so good to see you, my dear. There's Brandy. So good. So the point is that you see, I don't think that reality is, because you brought up a perfect situation, and I've actually done this in an experiment. You can have two volunteers
Mhm.
put into a room,
Mhm.
and each of them experience the same environment.
Mhm.
Within typically the first 15, 30 minutes, you will see both continue to maintain what they would call their own space. What is inevitable, if it goes into 2, 3, 4 hours, the one who is more centered isn't bothered at all.
Yeah.
The other starts to go insane.
Yes.
Yeah. Same reality, right? The same reality is set, but two separate creations of what reality really is.
And Wayne, I think that's like you just nailed it, because this is the difference between the experiences, is whether you're feeding on the outside world to fulfill you, so the reality is going to affect you, or if you're centered within to where you're just an observer and you stay much more centered through that. No matter what's happening around you, you can find that inner balance because you just have a higher understanding of reality itself.
I had a conversation with a lawyer,
Mhm.
and we got into esoteric thinking because religion, organized religion, is legalese. It's legalism.
Totally.
Yeah, and the people don't realize that all organized religion is legalism.
This is how
And
your soul gets contracted. It's through religion.
and it's interesting because we were talking on the predication that, let's say, each of us enter in with a contract, right?
Mhm.
And my friend brought out to the point, he says, well, it's very interesting. Every contract it has to be set on a foundation that there's reciprocity expressed in the contract. You're making a contract with something, maybe yourself, maybe with something even greater. But within the contract, there are always clauses that can allow for either party
Mhm.
to end the contract.
Correct.
And I said, well, do you think that that would be death? And he said, no, because death then you die under the terms of the contract, never optioning for the clauses. What do you think? I mean, it was a very interesting, because I know you have a lot written about contracts.
I think that's exactly literally how it works. You were contracted before you took on your avatar. So you are operating right now within this contract, even though most people aren't aware of it. And you did write this contract with yourself, for yourself. So it literally, I remember writing my contract and I was totally excited about writing it. I was seeing how all these things would go wrong and all this stuff. And it was just like fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
It was like fascinating. And then I was like, oh man, when you're up there writing this contract, you're in these higher vibrations and you don't remember how hard it is down here and how dense and how the vibrations are so low. It's like you just don't have a comprehension of that from that position, because I remember both positions. And wow, you don't think the same in both positions. You're still yourself, but you have different awareness. That's the best way I can put it into words. So with writing this contract, I know that I was brought in through this contract. And that's how I knew one of my loopholes in my contract, and I didn't have to be born. But once I got into the atmosphere of the third dimensional reality, that once I was already, because it's a process of getting you from the light into the form. It goes through a process of light transferring positions through finite geometrical, then to plutonic, and then it can get into solids. So it was this process of dropping down the energy that I saw, that we went through, and then we attached through this cord, this column of light. And they were showing me all this, but it's like when you write the contract, you're way up here. And then when you start to get close to entering into the contract, you go through this process of going down into the matrix before you actually go into the physical body. So I knew I had to loop out, but once I got into the atmosphere, the contract was already in effect. I didn't know that
So
part.
we've discussed this, but I still say that you can actually fulfill whatever the
Absolutely.
contract is before what I
When you
would
got
call
the
your
golden
life, your
serpent
completed life.
and the rainbow, that's when I was like, oh God, you've been freed. You're done. You go do whatever you want now because they gave you the keys. They're like, oh, you did your contract. Yeah, you're done. I'm pretty sure you graduated, dude. Yay.
It's out there.
I know.
I was literally the ant today. I closed, because when I meditate, I'm literally out there. I know I'm in the body, but
Yes.
I'm not in my body. I'm in a place, and it's kind of odd because it's darkness, but yet the light is everywhere.
Yes.
And the thought came because I was the ant, and of
Mhm.
all places I found myself was in the ancient redwoods in California. And I'm looking up and I can't see the top. And I said, now this would be God,
Yes.
because I don't have any comprehension as an ant of what the
Yes.
purpose of the tree is. I don't even know if it's a tree. I know it's something that I cannot comprehend that goes above me. And I heard this feedback come back in, and instantly I was looking down from the top of the tree and I couldn't see the ant.
Yes.
Now that flipped me around because I jumped and Dancer was right next to me and she jumped. And because that was so weird, because I saw it instantly from two totally different polarity points of view.
And then through that gnosis, you now understand that both perceptions and perspectives are completely accurate within the perception of the
Yeah,
being
yeah.
experiencing it. This is how you break the spell of duality, is by knowing neutrality. And you only can know neutrality when you've experienced or have an awareness of both parts of that polarity. So you got to be a witness to both sides of that
It
polarity
was
on an
strange.
extreme, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Well, and here was the other thing was that the ant, and if I had the perspective of the living being looking back down, there was a sense of satisfaction within both consciousness.
Yes.
The ant was totally satisfied.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so is the being looking
And
down
so the
upon.
being looking
Yeah.
down. Yeah. Yeah. Both marvel at each
That
other.
that part of your awareness, that can be the ant and that can be the above. That to me is my definition of God, because God is a spirit of consciousness that is within
Hmm.
all things. So, and we, through the fractaling of that consciousness, have the ability through the universal unity consciousness to actually dial in and connect to any part of creation that we can see or conceive within our
That's
mind.
pretty far out.
That's what I feel. That's what I
And I
believe.
think it is too. And here was my next thought. I
Mhm.
wish I could have spread that consciousness by the Vulcan mind meld, where you could plant into all the chaos that's going on today,
Yeah.
because it changes the whole perception of, I don't know, our very who we are as a species.
Yes.
We are a complex species, you know that?
Oh, extremely complex, even
Yeah,
down to our
just
biology. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's just
Creation.
very, very interesting because there is a lot of chaos out there.
There is. And it's so amazing too when you think about just your human body. You're 5 layers deep in energy bodies. It's like, wow, we're
Mm.
crazy cool. Yeah.
Wasn't it interesting in the Alien book? I got the book,
Mhm.
and that part of the process of getting in touch with the ancient ones is understanding that the five physical senses are just merely that,
Yeah.
senses,
Yes.
that there are yet others to be defined.
Yes.
I
The
think, I
five
think,
hidden.
yes. I mean, I,
Yeah.
I, I think of this telekinesis, Let's
Yes.
go through that. You can, what's the one where you can actually start fires? What is that one? Uh,
Oh, pyrokinesis, I think.
Pyrokinesis, and then
Pyro.
you have
Yeah.
kinetic. You have these within this outside realm that they call the ESP realm.
Yes.
There are other senses that I think that we can develop right here. I know, and someone, I just thought this, so I know someone else is thinking this. That's what the X-Men were about.
Yes. They,
They each
they
one
were
developed, yes.
their natural God-given abilities that were dormant within them. They were
Yeah,
activated,
yeah.
simply activated. And this is what I saw. Multiple people in this new age coming, they will start to activate. Not only is their body going to be able to do it, the universe is bringing forth that light that you saw coming in, Wayne. That's the coding of this awakening of our DNA. This is what I'm seeing happening. So this light is coming in, and through the ones who can perceive and
Yeah.
receive the information coming from the new codes of light coming from this
By
cosmic.
the way, can we break that word down? Because you got perceive and you
Yes.
have receive.
Yes.
Pre just means that I am already receiving it, where if I am I am at the moment
Yes.
receiving.
So you have to have both.
Yeah, yeah. And while you were talking, so telepathy, by the way, does
Mhm.
anyone want to? I really thought hard on this. Anyone have any idea? Because this is the only way we're going to learn. And the other channels, y'all are to start doing this. So when I tune in, we can find out what the card, because anyone say? I'll just put it back down here and see what happens. But so Star Trek Next Generation had one of their themes where Picard and um, the doctor, they were on a planet and they both had these devices where they could hear each other's thoughts.
Wow.
And what they learned was that, Gilbert, I'll give you 50% of it. You got it that right. And Lost in Space got it. Green, Kaz, how do you do it? Kaz has gotten this 100%. It
Right
is
on, Taz.
100%. Kaz has gotten every
Right
one of these.
on.
So, wow, Kaz, impressive, dear. Gonna have you back on and we'll do some more experimenting. And anyway,
Let's see.
the fact that Dr. Crusher and Picard, they could hear each other's thoughts, and was interesting because in one part of this, after they had gotten used to this, was the discipline of what Picard said. Isn't it not interesting? He says how we can begin to discipline our minds to only think one thing. Anyway, Kaz, I don't know how you do that, but that's just freaking awesome, man.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So Michelle
awesome.
says, amazing, Kaz. Yeah. So yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
anyway, it
Yeah.
it it tells me when we talk about the five senses, the extra senses, that I think that that's the adjustment period when we cross over. Because now you have the remembrance of the five physical senses, and now you're slammed with these five extraordinary senses.
Yes.
Think about that.
That's why you can see in 360 vision.
Yeah.
That's why all of these different attributes are just automatically present, because you're disconnecting from the soul construct of the physical template, the body, and you're going back more into the energetic templates of the body.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
And
mean,
it's,
your
different.
gifting,
Yeah.
what I have seen for what as you've told on your journey, a lot of it has been training. It's just, yeah, you have the essence within us, but you have to focus in on it.
Yes, you literally, this was coming into me this morning in meditation. You must open the seven seals through your awareness of the consciousness that lies within each one of the seals. Each one of the seals is a gift to you of your 12 disciples. They all have wisdom and messages and gifts within each one. And this is the true meaning of the seven seals and the unlocking of the seven seals. It's tapping into the universal construct attached to each one of those energy centers in the body. And there's 13. So you're aware of the 7, but you need to connect to the 13.
Interesting.
That's the 5 hidden, which are the lunar
Mhm.
constructs.
Oh, so yeah, and again, it gets back to, you know, what we see here in this earth, and that's another thing I'm finding lately here, that I'm outside of the earth because I'm looking back at earth, and I can understand that there is this, how do I say, there's this buzz about earth that, you know what, it just drains the soul. And
Yeah,
sometimes you just have to step out. I think the Moody Blues said it best. You just have to trust and step out and meet the great beyond.
yeah. Trust
Mhm.
transmutation.
I'm
Trust.
flying. You know, Trina, when I pass on, I'm looking forward to it. I've
Yeah.
always flown in my dreams. And in my dreams, I'll tell you, I'll share something with you and of course the rest of the audience.
Yeah.
But and there has been a brief pause, but there was the longest time where I was flying, and it was really interesting because above me was the set of complex grid that
Yeah.
were electrical lines, and I could never break through there. There
Mhm.
was in one particular dream where I saw a space between that I started flying towards, and
Mhm.
something grabbed my ankle, and I can remember, um, Lynn
Yes.
was saying why I was kicking the crap out of her, but
Yes.
something freaking grabbed my ankle, and so I
Those
know,
are the reapers. They try to keep us in the matrix. They're the
sons
yeah.
of bitches, I mean,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I keep hearing too? It's like, you guys need to understand, you need to learn the stars, you need to learn the power of the sun, because the sun is the stargate. The sun is the stargate. So I think the only way in or out of this construct might be through the sun. So
Hmm,
the sun opens and closes at specific times. Some of the main uh, docking stations are, of course, at the equinoxes. So those are big windows. So this might be I keep seeing too, every time the moon flushes is when the portals are open. So when we have a new moon, I think that's another time when the stargates open. So there's only certain times when you can exit the grid, is what I've been shown.
it's really interesting because when we talk about, you know, the Stargate, you know, the book, connecting with the alien gods,
Mm-hmm.
is that, you know, it showed us, and it's very symbolic to the mirror. As you begin to gaze into it, becomes the portal, and it's really interesting. I started doing this. There's something that happens there,
Yes.
and it's like it's like sticking your head through and going, oh shit, you know, and you want to pull it back out because
Yeah.
it's pretty intense.
Yeah. You're literally opening a portal. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then the point is, I have no doubt that the being, and I know it sounds
Mhm.
weird to call the sun a being, but it's a
No.
living force.
Yes, it is just like the
Is it or
earth.
not? Yeah.
Just like the earth,
Yeah.
and it is inhabited with light
Yeah.
beings.
I
There.
just read this book, Trina, that said, here's an interesting concept for you. We all think that God created the universe, but what if we have it backwards and it was the universe that created God?
Yeah, God is the universe. So yeah,
No,
that
no,
would
no, 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 no. God would be separate from the universe. The
like
universe
it's
is
I see God as an energy. So that's
so okay.
my God reference isn't the same as most people's. It's not the
Yeah.
guy with the beard. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
it's just I don't have the same reference.
That's why I always say, so Jesus was a white dude?
Yeah,
What?
I don't have the
Wait a
same
minute.
references.
Wait a minute.
Just don't.
But
But
that
that's
is a good
because
point.
I wasn't indoctrinated, Wayne. So,
Yeah.
I do have a different mental construct because I've always known about the Lord, always since I was a kid. But he told me
Yeah,
don't go to church. He told me don't read the Bible, and I was like, oh, you might know what you're talking
you had
about.
a different
You know,
different reality on that. And
totally different
yeah.
reality. So I see God as an energy. It's a spirit, and
Do you
it's
know they said
aware.
now that the universe itself, not the galaxy, the whole universe
Uh-huh.
rotates? So
Yes,
that brings in a conundrum. What are we rotating in?
I see a spiral, Wayne, but I don't know how
Oh, it
that
just,
works out. Yeah, like a
yeah,
corkscrew.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
do. And I think we go up and down. And I think we've been down for so long, and we're actually going up now. This is the
I can
whole
dig that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and this is the
yeah.
whole inversion rather than it's involution versus when you're evolving. So it's the opposite. So you expand out for a set window of time. And this is where you gather and you experience and you create and you go through different lifetimes and you learn and you go through all this stuff. And then there's a shifting point where you start to go back inward and you start to integrate all the knowledge and all the information and all of it, and then it gets more into your God spark consciousness, which is the unified feel of knowing everything. So that's what I see.
I Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that gets out there. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's getting out in the middle of space.
yeah, and it's all on those wheels.
Well, it again, I
Like I
had,
see the spiral, Wayne, and there's layers, like levels of creation within each.
what I like about our conversations, they're positive. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been reading on Jewish history, their culture, and the Hebraic culture is very depressing because their view of death is that you literally go into a pit
Yeah, that's right.
and you have no remembrance of yourself.
Mhm,
You have no understanding about what you were. It
mhm.
it is, I'm thinking to myself, well, no wonder, because it makes life, the physicality of life, to be something that's above the spirit. And I think that that's where it took me decades, Trina, to figure that out.
Yeah, me too. And when I realized that the flesh was just like it was like this is the greatest risk of your getting trapped here is because you truly do identify with this world and you identify with this body as all that is when it is absolutely not that way. But that is how you get stuck in your own wheel, in your own loop of reincarnation, because you really don't have connection to spirit. You only have connection to matter.
Yes. And a new revelation when I was reading this, it's interesting how the debate has been in three stages. You have incarnation, you have reincarnation, and then you have resurrection, which
Mhm,
is basically, when you think about resurrection,
mhm.
it's really just a metaphor for reincarnation, which really goes back to says that if it was a then there had to be an
Yeah,
incarnation
yeah. A
of
resurrection to
us.
me. Yeah, resurrection to me is when you actually go back to your original God spark. You resurrect. You are going back into your original tesseract, your original print. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a
So
time
to
machine.
resurrect is to rebuild your your divine template, your original power, which is like a sun. It's powerful, big time. So yeah, they're saying that's when you resurrect is when you become Christ. It's the Christ, the awakening. So like you've already done it, Wayne. You've gotten that resurrection. And the confirmation of that was the golden serpent and the
Yeah,
rainbow on
that's
your
still
house.
weird. Yeah. Defining moments
That
in
was your resurrection because you bypassed your contract. You fulfilled the contract. You bypassed it. So now you're going into resurrection. You don't have to go back into reincarnation because you have resurrected out of it with gnosis. and wisdom and knowledge. And that's all it takes to get out of here, is to know you are not this flesh. It's literally being shown to me. It's that simple. It's that simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Listen, I know when I speak, I know this body is merely, it has its own,
Consciousness.
it does, because one of the things that the Liber Lilith really did break down for me was defining the body has its own spirit.
Yeah, and that's what I would define as soul.
Yeah, and I would agree that,
Operating templates that you take on within different
yeah,
incarnations to fulfill an experience and a different learning experience. So you have many souls. That's why
yeah.
you have many soul mates. It's because you take on a soul to interpret and to manifest within a construct of creation. And you do that your own self through your magnificent ability to create as a part of creation.
Yeah, and we do, because for myself, I'm very keenly aware that I am in a place that right now, and unfortunately, this is how I see it. It has constraints. It has doors,
Yeah.
and the body is what I am in right now. And I'm very keenly aware of that. There's been many times here of late where I've been seeing myself literally waking up from my body.
I've seen that too, Wayne.
Isn't that
Scared
weird?
the crap
So
out of me. I didn't like
how
it at
many other
all.
people in the chat room have you experienced that here of lately? It's where I literally wake up and my body's left. It's behind me. It's not me anymore. What am I saying? I am literally getting up. Anyway,
Out
thank
of
you.
the illusion and
Yeah,
connecting to your
yeah,
spirit,
yeah,
Christ consciousness, which is so different it just knows everything differently.
yeah,
I don't know how to put it into words, but it perceives everything a little differently than what you do, but it's still you.
yeah.
So it's so hard to put into words.
It's you know what it is? It's awesome. That's the
It
only
is
word I can think
awesome.
about
It
it.
is so
It
awesome.
is. I was washing dishes
Yeah.
and just looking out, and I'm thinking, it's an awesome experience to wash a dish. I mean,
Yes.
you get into the moment. I have, talk about alchemy. I'm mixing air, water, fire, because the water is hot, Yeah.
You know,
Anyway,
it's so funny. It's like if you were going to become a planet and you didn't know how to even care for a simple physical avatar, how could you then be upgraded to be a planetary creator? Does that make
good
sense?
question. I mean, excellent question. I
That's like,
love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how they show me. They're like, you have to learn what effect you have on creation through the physical avatar. This is why you go into matter, so you can hopefully ascend through it, because you understand polarity. You understand thought creates form. You understand the alchemical processes of health and grief and health and anger. You understand these manifestations because you've inhabited a physical body, which is a replica of a planetary body, and then a replica of the universal body. And this is what I mean when I say we're 3D. We're a fractal of all three within one.
I
So,
see that. And I'm
yes.
laughing because someone says, "Come on over, Wayne. I'll hook you up with some dishes to wash."
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't say that is you experience the moment. That's all I got
Yeah,
to
and
say.
we want to actually physically do things. And this was like creation. Creation was like, I want to experience myself. So I want to jump off the waterfall. I want to fly. I want to do, because in its knowing of everything, it's like a spiritual brain,
Hmm. Yeah,
smart thing. It's everything, but within its fullness, it can't experience itself because it can't separate from itself. So it created fractals of itself, and
yeah.
that's what we
The
are.
fractals. Yeah.
Yeah, we are the fractals of that.
I was giving some guidance to a person, and as I tell them all the time, you know, don't be afraid of death. And I said, lately, as I've tell them, and I ask them all, I said, can you remember your birth?
Mhm.
And none of them can. And
Mhm.
I said, well, did you fear your birth? None of them said, I don't know. And I said, very good point. And I said, here's the interesting thing about this experience in this physical form. You have come in here to experience something, and this is going to sound so contrary, but you came into this to experience pain.
And
And you,
yeah, the as above, so below. So
without the pain, you would never know what relief is.
and you wouldn't know effect of manifestation of pain. You wouldn't know that that can be created through dis-ease. Pain is symptomatic of dis-ease.
I brought out that it's like love.
Mhm.
And I said, you cannot become where you're in love, falling truly in love, until you've had your heart broken. You have to go through the experience of that first heartache to understand the whole construct of what love is.
And yeah, then the pain of it when it
Yeah.
leaves.
And
Yeah.
that's why when you find that soulmate, it becomes very precious,
Oh, it's the
because
ultimate gift.
yeah, yeah. And that's what we do here, folks. When we talk about this, but it's true. And I know it seems, because we all want to relieve the pain.
Mhm.
I think that, and this is not negative, but I believe until I return home and I'm going to a place, I've been there, that's where I exist, that we are all in pain until that return is made.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Thank you. I mean,
100%.
someone was writing
Just
about
coming
you.
into this body hurt
It does.
from there to here, just
From the
coming
very
in,
beginning, it hurts.
it hurts. And we
You
don't
know,
remember that up there. Like I said, we understand pain, but it's like nothing's real till you feel it. And that's what the Lord always says. Nothing's
Lynn
real till
Lynn
you
points
feel it.
out to me
It's
repeatedly,
real.
she says
We're up
that,
there writing contracts. Oh, I can get through this, no problem. I can get through this, no problem. And then we come down here and we have to feel it with the five senses. Whole smack daddy, whole different situation, because our perception doesn't have the same perception of what it feels like here.
well, I was saying that Lynn points out that none of us could ever go through the birth experience. It's so intense in the pain index that the reason why we have no remembrance of it, and it's interesting from the clinical view, is that when you're going through the birthing canal, and I know people say C-sections, there's something on that as well. But as you're going through this canal, you are literally constructed into this world. And as you pass through that, the reason why you start crying is to bring in that breath, but it's also to relieve the pain.
Oh, and yeah, think about it too. We're going from the transfer from water to air.
I
Yes.
happen to think that the departure process is going in the twinkling of an eye. You won't even
For
remember
me,
it.
they just said that's just like waking up. Like
Yep.
it is
Waking up.
no big deal. It
Yep.
is so
Yep.
simple to do that part.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of spirits don't know they're dead.
I continue to read about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like,
They're like,
what
what?
do you mean I'm dead? I'm still here. They're like,
I'm going, really? Is that thing that, am I dead? Am I
that
really
is, I
dead?
think, what that thing is. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
like,
do, Wade.
I know. And if I pass over and I'm still sitting at this desk with the books piled on all sides, I'm going, well, I got lots of time to read now. I
You know,
don't
when I
think
was
it's
a
going to
little
be
kid,
that way, but
Wayne, I was able to talk to a spirit who used to haunt our property. And he told me his name was Chris, and he said he was 18 years old when he died. And he told me how he died in a car accident, and he showed me the car. It was still in the desert. And he said that when he first died, it took him a long time to realize that he was dead
hmm.
because it happened so fast.
So he was pushed out of the body.
In a flipped car accident
Yeah,
that went
yeah,
upside down into a wash, and he died. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so he didn't know he was dead for a little while, and that was when he told me that when I was younger. I was like, I couldn't understand how he couldn't know that he was dead. It just didn't. But that was the first time I had exposure to that reality that a lot of these spirits, especially when they're yanked out real quick, they don't understand they're dead for a while.
I've heard that violent deaths as well, that the negative of the I was, I guess it was about 6 months ago, the story came across the news about the young woman they found that was missing down in Texas, and they found her body inside a U-Haul trailer. And immediately when I saw the trailer, I was immediately that woman. And I knew that she had faced, and this is what I heard, she could not believe she was dying this way.
Yeah, and she wasn't upset about it. She was in shock.
She
She
just
was like, I
couldn't.
can't believe it's going to go down like this. But her
Yeah,
already, her
yeah.
higher self was speaking because it was like, wow, this is how it's going to end. See, she already had an awareness though. So that's
Yeah.
kind of good because people that live through that, I've studied a lot of cases with that because it always trauma is so powerful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was like, wow, what does this do with you when you die like this? I was always very curious about that. People that live through that, that have been stabbed like 78 times and miraculously survived. They said that like um, they were yanked out of the body and they watched from above.
Mm,
None of them were even in their physical bodies. Once the really seriousness of the attack started, they were literally phoom, and just watching from above. But they could still experience both at the same time, kind of.
mm-hmm.
But the higher self was more in already in its position to where it was less emotional. It was observing, watching the whole thing take place, and they felt kind of detached from it. And they said they felt no pain. So I was like, that's very comforting to know. But I think, like I said,
That brings me up when I think about the point that people, that cord still is connected.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like I said, these people
yeah,
survived. That's how they could
yeah, yeah.
so I think if you don't make it through, I don't think you get a lot of the trauma, but I think it still leads to confusion because, especially like a car accident or if you get knocked unconscious and you drown,
Mm-hmm.
things like that, where they're like, what happened? Because they truly don't know what happened. Or if they
I
die
think
when
that's
they're
why
in
they see the
anesthesia.
Civil War soldiers in, the
Yeah.
battlefields.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it happened so quick. They were
yeah,
just
they're,
like, whoa, yeah, you
yeah,
got it. I really do think that there's a
yeah.
lot to this. And I was always that might be a lot of our mission when we drop our flesh is to help a lot of other souls that might be here, kind of just wandering around lost because they're just in shock. But we might be able to help them wake up.
I think that, Trina, I'm convinced that there is this realm in between, that
Yeah,
there, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's right on top of us. We're in the same space with it. We just
Yeah,
can't perceive it.
I know we are. I
I
know
do
we
too.
are.
Because I've seen them. They're
Yeah.
about 2 feet above us, and they're just walking around doing normal. And I'm like, oh wow,
Like this,
like
my casa
right
is
above
your
us.
casa. Yeah, it's like, well, hey, Jack, we're already here. I just tell them,
Yeah,
just mind your manners, and we'll all have a good time on it. Wow.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
this is hours gone by. This has been a
Wow.
very interesting discussion. I mean, because
Yeah.
it's all connected, and I
Mhm.
can't help but think that if knowledge is even in the minuscule amount transferable in the moment we make the transition from this corporeal into the astral, that so I understand I can create with my mind. Now that
Yeah.
gives me an advantage to someone who's never been taught,
Yeah.
and they die,
Mhm.
and whether it be through trauma
Mhm.
or etc., that they don't know that they can do this.
And this is what I mean. I think what a lot of people that die, if they're completely materialistic in their awakening awareness, they have no spiritual connection, none of that. Because I know not one single breath of your life is ever not going to be there for you to view and go through because of your the Akashic records that are held within the causal body. They're also recorded in these dimensions through different crystalline technologies, but they're literally part of your energetic soul print. So you have those records within one of your energy bodies, which is the causal body. So that body is your library, it's your living library.
Interesting. I love it.
Mm.
Oh, Miss Trina, that hour went by like
Yeah,
hello.
that's why a lot of people, they worry about the people that are dying with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, don't worry, everything's intact within the Akash, and they can, they always do have access to it if they just but can perceive of it. If they have
And I believe in cellular memory as well. I think that, yeah, that's a discussion I
powerful.
think we should have on that, because, you know, the statistics are showing that there's the younger and younger age groups are experiencing early forms of dementia.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
that's
going,
because of what's going on with the stomachs and the food.
boy, is that a topic as well.
Yeah,
That the second brain in
that's
its,
exactly what they've done.
yeah.
They've attacked this one with the fluoride and the stuff and the chemicals, and they're attacking the stomach with the genetically modified foods.
Trina, it just hit me. We've been one dimensional in our perspective of what mind control is. There is yet another
Yes.
mind control that would be of the second brain.
And they don't understand it. It's the most powerful. It's the solar.
Think about that. That's
It's
the
your
energy
connection.
converter.
It's your connection to the sun,
Yeah.
to all information.
All right, folks, you see, that was worth
They
the
want it
price of
dead.
admission right there. Right there. That was worth. That is a new topic. I have never seen anything written on it. But
People are
think
starting
about
to figure it out. I've been screaming for 10 years. Autism is in the stomach. Autism is in the stomach.
wow.
They're finally starting to figure it out. They're actually getting scientific correlation to this, but I've been screaming this for 10 years. You want to heal your children? You will address their gut. They have no connection to the sun.
The acronym, the ways to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yes.
I mean, come on, folks, think about this.
Produces well-being. It
That's
does.
all I got to say. Talk about a new perspective of mind control.
Yes.
Oh, well, see, this is where GMOs would come in, genetic modified organisms, because the converting factor in us,
Yes.
think about this.
We have more neuroreceptors in our solar
Hmm.
plexus and digestive system than in our brain, 10 to 1. 10 to 1.
Talk about Ultra MK.
You got it. They went straight for the gut.
This is,
Yep. And you can't get your emotional guidance centers online. They come through the solar plexus.
holy crap. You think about this, Trina. I know we've gone way over, but as you take prescription drugs, whether they be whatever, let's say if you're taking antidepressants, anti-anxiety, what the point is, that converting factor is happening at that key, I'd call it a portal.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, well, we have some subject matter for next week then, Miss Trina.
Yes.
So I understand you saw Big Al.
Yes. And I got
Yes.
my rods from Marsha.
From Marsha.
These are so cool.
Yes.
Did you look at the end caps too? These are the upgraded ones. Holy macaroni, these things are powerful, Wayne. Those are the new end caps.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then on the other, see, you got the sacred geometry again.
Yes, you do.
Isn't that pretty?
She is
They're
very
amazing.
talented. She's
These
just a
are
very
so
talented spirit.
powerful.
So, Chloe, you got it. Stomach, sun, solar plexus. And didn't the
Yes.
ancient ones tell us that it is the solar plex where all the energy is channeled? This is very interesting.
Wayne, and I had to laugh so hard one day because when I got that information, literally the Lord started laughing at me. He goes, "See, y'all, it's true. The only way to the Father is through the Son." And he was talking about that stomach connection. He's like, "You're dead if you can't connect to your gut," because that is where it all breaks down. The finer, subtle, 5 hidden abilities that you hold, they will be manifest through your gut.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he was showing me. He's like, so yeah, the solar plexus is truly the gate to the Father, which is the representation of the crown, which is the universal consciousness.
Yeah,
It's
we're
a
gonna.
field of consciousness, but it goes through the stomach, through the heart, into the brain. It has to start here, though. And this is what he's been showing me for a long time. And he was like, all the brain problems is from the solar complex in the body. And I was like, wow.
Well, we're gonna get more into this, folks. We've gone over, but I'm gonna tell you what, this is deep, deep stuff. There was some revelation knowledge gnosis that was passed on. This is very interesting because it's all right there. All
We're
right.
gonna remember. We're gonna remember, Wayne.
We are
Yeah.
already on there. Well, thank you all, everyone. This has just been fantastic for everyone in the chat room, all the moderators. Thank you, Miss Trina. Take us out, and we'll see everyone next week. So,
All I can say is ignite the fire within the desire of your belly and feed it well and try to heal it and work on the lower parts of your body. Because if we can integrate the blue, which is the crown, and integrate that into the solar root area of the body, those colors blending ignite the violet fire of transmutation. So this is what they're trying to stop. So it's time for us to heal the gut, the mind, and activate the triple fire through the heart, which is expressed through the violet fire of transmutation. So let's get it done, guys, and start to work with the powerful fire of creation within us.
well said. I mean, this is deep. The gut, the solar plexus, the second brain. We'll see
Yeah.
you all next Tuesday. Bye bye.